Hi everyone, this is Yurii from ORIL, and today we're recording another episode of Innovation Blueprint podcast. And today we have another guest, another professional that work in the PropTech domain, but provide very exclusive services, and not just the services, but the numbers that can help you to run any type of businesses, especially in the PropTech domain. Today, our guest is Tyler Christensen. Yay, Tyler, say hello to our crowd.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for finding the time to join our podcast. We've seen you at the RatCon. We tried to talk to you there, but you're extremely busy, and I'm not surprised with the services that you guys provide. I'm pretty sure everybody want to get in touch with you, and that's completely normal. So I'm happy to have you as a guest today. And Tyler is a head of industry solutions in the company with name Cherre. Cherre said that in your profile, that Cherre is the leader in the real estate data and insights. We connect decision makers to accurate property and market information and help them make faster, smarter decisions. That sounds pretty cool. But can you please explain me what exactly you guys do? What kind of data do you guys collect, and what kind of decision you guys help to make decision makers?
Sure. So I think fundamentally what Cherre does is our mission is to make data useful for real estate companies. We think about data basically in three buckets. We think about internal data, right? Data from applications that our clients own, right? Think Yardi, MRI, Argus, BTS, stuff like that. We think about what we would call second-party data, which would be data if you have outsourced property management. Your property manager is sending you data every month. It's your data, but you don't create it. Property managers create it. And then we have what we call third-party data, or data that you buy. Data that you buy would be like economic data, lease comps, sales comps, things like that. And all of that data, for folks in the real estate space know this all too well, that data doesn't really talk to each other very well. All of those things exist in silos. And what you really start to think about is, how do I ask questions that are answered when I combine this data together? And so what Cherre does is we bring all that data together, we connect it, we unify it, and then we make that available. So that's where the data mobilization piece comes in. We can do dashboards and do dashboards for some folks, but we can also land this data in places where it's more useful for our clients. Many clients that say, I have an army of Power BI ninjas. I just need this data served up so they can start to drive insights. And we're happy to do that too.
Okay, so what exactly you guys solve for the clients? What kind of problem? Do you teach them how to read the data, or you just collect the data, you structurize it and provide it to them, or you do a little bit of both?
We do, yes, we do a little bit of both. There is certainly the exercise in actually collecting and connecting this data together, modeling it so that it is something that can be used downstream. And then we have a services arm as well that can work with clients to do things like enhance their data science capabilities, help drive repeatable insights for our clients, things like that as well.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. And when you guys collecting the data, what the biggest challenges do you guys have?
Oh gosh, where do you start? I mean,
you're talking about the three different types of data. Let's start from the first one, from internal one.
I would even say that like there are challenges across those different flavors of data, but there are challenges internally. Real estate is an industry that doesn't have like an industry standard data model. So you go to a client and you say, what's your definition of property? Right? They may not have an answer. That answer is probably different than the last client you talked to, right? So you have this problem of everybody says they speak a common language, but they actually may speak a common language. And so one of the things that we have to do is we have to start digging in both to the data as well as to the company from a culture perspective to understand, all right, when you say this, what do you really mean? That's probably the biggest challenge we deal with.
Okay, and talking about external data, do you guys collecting about some economical factors or something like that? Do you guys just browse the internet and you just parse information, or you scrap some information and structurize it? What do you do about that part?
No, well, we don't do any scraping. There are many third-party data vendors out there that sell data, right? So they go and they aggregate and collect this data and they sell that, and many of our clients buy it. The challenge with third-party data is that when you look at internal data in the real estate world, the property is basically the locus or the center of what everybody wraps everything around. When you look at market data or third-party data, the property is no longer the center, right? You're starting to talk about zip codes, MSAs, CBSAs, market boundaries, all sorts of other things. So the challenge that we're solving for there is saying, all right, I need to now relate data that doesn't speak the same language geospatially. So we spent quite a bit of time building, tools and services inside of our platform that will take things like an address, standardize it, and then relate that to the broader, what we call polygons that are present in the market data.
And based on everything you said, that the data can be different for each client, and approach also needs to be different. So do you guys provide some kind of technical solution that fits for all of them, and you just adjust like small things on top of that, or you just using core and you developing the specific solution and dashboard for each client?
No, we have like standard products that we deploy around this stuff. So we have connectors that help bring the data in from internal applications as well as these third-party sources. We have what's called our data submission portal, which is how we get that second-party data. So property that's submitted by, say, property managers or outsourced providers. And then we've got a bunch of like cool proprietary stuff inside the platform that helps stitch that all together. But generally, like if we think about what we're trying to accomplish, is we're trying to make sure that not only does the data speak a common language across those different types of data, we also want to make sure that the business, our client, is speaking a common language across both the asset lifecycle as well as different departments.
Okay. Talking about the solution and the dashboard that you guys provide, do you guys use it as a standalone product for the client, or you can integrate it in some management systems or another platforms that clients can use?
So our dashboards sit within our product, right? So those are embedded in our product. But because we're not limited to just making the data available through dashboards, we can, send that data to other folks or other clients, analytics instances, other data warehouses. We have multiple clients where they don't use our dashboards at all. What we do for them is collect, connect, and normalize that data, and then we egress it to their data warehouse. They say, hey, I've already bought Snowflake, or I'm on Azure SQL, or hey, we're deploying Fabric. And we're landing the data in their infrastructure. And then they're using, their tools of choice to visualize that data.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. And in this case, I have another question regarding the integration and adjustment. Do you guys have like internal team who helps you to do that, or it needs to be provided from the client side?
What do you mean adjustments?
Adjustments, I mean, I'm coming to you and I say, hey guys, this is the type of data that I have, like internal data and external data. I need to combine it, and I need to get this outcome from there. And I want to use it in my internal system, in my management platform. Let's say I have some database connected to this platform. I want you to pull the data from there, and I want you to do this through my API. Do you need me to provide you access there and provide you the personnel who will do that for you? Or you have like internal team who will come and say, hey guys, we got what you want. We're going to build everything that you need, and you will just receive the result with no headache.
So in terms of access points, we usually rely on the client to provide those, right? Like I can't invent data, and I certainly can't invent a client's like property operating data. There's no way we would have access to that. So we do definitely rely on the clients to provision access to those things. But once we have access, Cherre takes over, right? So it's our people, our teams, our products that are pulling that data in, modeling, normalizing, standardizing. and then landing that data wherever, we've decided as a partnership between client and Cherre where that should go. So there is I would call like a sphere of influence where this is what everything Cherre takes care of. But once it leaves our sphere, it's incumbent on the client to pick that up. So just like I can't invent data, I also can't invent processes and people to handle things outside of the Cherre world.
Okay, because it's 2025 right now, and a lot of things going through the automation of different processes. How the automation looks on your side? Is your process fully automated or partly automated, or it has to have some human involvement all the time?
So that's actually a really interesting question, because it's not that difficult to automate the movement of data from a source system through our platform and land it somewhere. Where automation gets tricky is when we start to look at the quality of the data. And is this data fit for purpose downstream? Now, there's lots of things that we do from an automated perspective around observability and validation. So being able to profile the data automatically, being able to run validation rules all over this data automatically to surface issues. But when it comes to something and it has flagged, like a validation rule has tripped, and now there is an issue that needs to be remediated with this data. Now we're in a place where we need to decide, right? And the client needs to decide, where does this remediation happen? Is this something that happens in the source system? Is this something that they want remediated in Cherre, or is this something that they would choose to remediate? You can't automate the remediation process necessarily, because oftentimes it requires judgment. And right now we don't have a good way, I think, broadly within the industry to automate, human judgment.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. If from here, I have another question.
Yeah.
As you notice at the RadCon, and I think at any conference that are happening right now in 2024 and 2025, that's AI. AI is everywhere. People always talking about AI, people implementing AI. And do you guys have some part of AI already implemented in your product?
Yeah, so we do use AI in our product. I would say that Cherre has been suspicious and judicious about our use of AI, because we are handling so much client data and we take data security very, very seriously. This idea of saying, oh, I'm just going to drop ChatGPT on top of it and send all this client data out to OpenAI was very, very unsettling for us. It's not something that we were looking at. So we've really leaned into models that can be deployed on our own infrastructure, that doesn't send data outside of our four walls, to make sure that things stay secure, things stay safe. And then we've looked for places to put AI that are going to help drive efficiencies or usability, in a place that, is going to help clients be successful and partners of ours be successful. Submission portal is a great example. So you have property managers, fund administrators out in the market sending data to clients. That data comes in a multitude of formats. So you have some options. You can say, all right, service providers, I'm going to mandate that you adhere to a certain template. You must populate a certain template a certain way. And that will work for some, and it won't work for others. And where we've really been leading into AI is, hey, how can we make the ingestion formats more flexible? How can we say, just give it to us? And the AI doesn't solve for you. What it actually does is it provides a way for you to train the system directly and say, all right, based on this unstructured or semi-structured format that you've sent me, these are the things we've identified. These are the recommended transformation operations to get it into a structured format, because ultimately, just like your internal data, just like your third-party data, you want this data to come through and be normalized and modeled in a way that it's useful downstream. You don't need it to look like a report run out of a property management system somewhere. You need it to look like something that's going to allow you to build dashboards on it, allow you to do data science on it, allow you to do something, that's accretive to your business.
Okay, that's a pretty good answer. Thank you for that. And if you don't mind, I would like to focus at the part of security and safety of the data. So you said that it needs to be some specific AI model that can be implemented, that you're not going to just drop the information to the chat GPT. Do you have some specific custom developed solution for you, or you work with some existing model and you just have some protocols of security, or how that work?
It's a combination, but really one of the big requirements for us is that we can deploy a model, whether it's off the shelf or it's something custom built, inside of Cherre. And so that data doesn't need to leave Cherre in order to be processed by the AI. Like that's really the key for us. Does that mean that sometimes maybe we like look at something and we think it's cool, but we're very circumspect? Absolutely. But it also means that, we manage data for hundreds of clients, right? We can't have that leaking out all over the place. That would be awful. And so, we take.
Yeah, we already seen like a few days ago when this very strict information came out from the chat. So, and you definitely don't want to have the similar situation. Yeah.
But what you bring up about AI is really interesting, because there's the way Cherre approaches AI, and then there's what our clients want to do with AI, right? And we have, many clients and prospects come in and they say, hey, like my boss is asking me what I'm doing about AI, right? You have a CTO or a CIO and they come in, they say, hey, the CEO was at a country club and playing golf with his buddies and they were all talking about AI and now he wants to know what we're doing about AI. And it's interesting because we think about AI and there's tons of products out there where at RetCon, for example, right? Every single booth had like a powered by AI thing.
Oh yeah.
But that powered by AI, like to solve very tactical problems, right? We're automating a specific process, we're suggesting a certain thing, but it's kind of on a small scale. What the C-suite is really thinking about is like, how do I do AI in the sense that I am driving towards AI assisting with more strategic decision making? And in order to do that, you really have to have a foundational data layer that is primed and ready and trusted for AI. Right? I have one of my colleagues in the industry. When Copilot came out, he was super excited, and so he just dropped Copilot over everything. He was like, I've got it crawling over all my data, and it's so interesting, it's so great. And I was like, wow, like man, but that's like you got all sorts of stuff in there. It's structured, it's unstructured. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. He's like, yeah, but the results have been pretty interesting. And I said, okay, so you ask it a question, you get a result back. He's like, yeah. And I said, what happens when you ask it the same question again? I said, oh, I get a different answer. That's kind of alarming, right? Because
oh yeah,
what you're saying is like right now, and this was a year ago, which is like ages, right, in the AI world.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true.
What it lends itself to is this idea that like you have to have a data set that is curated, modeled, trusted in such a way that when executives get in there and they ask questions, that answers are going to be consistent. You can't have the CFO and the CEO getting different answers over the same question. You can't have, a portfolio manager asking about, performance metrics on their portfolio, and then when that bubbles up to the CEO, those are wrong. Like that would be catastrophic. So when we think about AI at Cherre, what we really start to transition to is a conversation around trust and quality of the data, because that is, without that foundational and fundamental layer, it doesn't matter how cool a model is you're putting on top, you're not going to get the results you want from it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. With the coolest construction, you do not have the right building material, you're never going to build the strong building. Yeah, I totally agree about that. And another question that I have, like, as you said, that AI can be used as a co-pilot, but for the future, let's say maybe the next 5 years, what do you think? Can AI replace some companies like yours, or the team members at least in your company, and make the process more optimized? What is your personal thoughts about that?
I don't think AI is going to replace so much as augment and enhance, right? There are a lot of tasks on the data engineering side, on the solutions delivery side, that are not tasks that require thinking. They're just rote. Like, hey, I got to go like bang out this schema model. I got to go like update this project plan, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that I would like to see AI injected into, just to drive more efficiency there. I don't think that AI is ever going to replace like the creativity of human problem solving. There's probably people who disagree with me on that, and that's okay. But certainly not in the next 5 years. And what it's going to allow people to do is start to manage by exception and govern AI tasks, as well as contribute their own and be a lot more creative and collaborative inside of organizations, as opposed to having somebody that's like, all they do is move data from one spreadsheet to the other spreadsheet. That job exists today, right? But shouldn't, right? Like that, outside of all the things
that's something that you can easily replace and
like,
optimize.
Yeah, we should. But like things like that are, should go away, and it should be much more about knowledge work instead of repetitive work.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking these questions all the time to our guests, it's I heard a lot of developers, especially like the beginners, when they start panicking about the AI. Like, okay, I heard that AI will replace all developers, let's say in 1 year, so we're all gonna lose our job. And I'm like, come on, man, that will never happen. Maybe at some point, but definitely not in this decade. And people start arguing because they heard some rumors. And I'm always interested in the answers from the tech guys like you, from the different companies. What is your perspective about that? So thank you for sharing that. And another question regarding AI that I would like to ask, it's if, let's say, you would be able to develop some technical solution of your dream that will make your life easier and the processes and the Cherre more streamlined and efficient, what would it be?
I mean, a lot of that is what we're working on now, right? Which is let's take the hard work around disparate formats out of the hands of the people and put it into AI to help drive that. The other thing is, when it comes to data modeling and schema management, that's another place where like that work is just brutal, and being able to, turn that over to AI and like have those types of folks go do things that are more rewarding and more accretive to the business are great places, I think, to start. In terms of personally, where would I like AI to help me the most? If I could have AI respond to emails and Slacks, that would be super. My world is because I'm both internal and external facing. I have like multiple communication mediums that I'm managing, and a lot of my time is just spent separating the wheat from the chaff in terms of like, this is the stuff I should respond to, and this is the stuff I shouldn't.
It's actually funny, and thank you for your transparency, because a lot of people saying kind of same thing that you just said, but after the interview. Like an interview, they said like, okay, we want to have this one. But when the people say, okay, I want to relieve this pain, I just want that AI answering a lot of junk email or maybe some typical emails because it takes a lot of time. That's probably the most common answer. Yeah, thank you for sharing that for the record.
Pie in the sky AI answer, right? Like, and we can be all utopian, but really, like, where do people like AI works best in situations where like people don't even realize it's there, right? So like the amount of AI that's in your iPhone, right? The amount of AI that's in just like normal PCs these days, like the stuff that just makes everything a little bit easier, right? That's what I want, right? Because like people's jobs are challenging enough anyway, without layering on administrative overhead, without layering on like, oh, how do I go find this? Without layering on the, oh crap, like where is this thing or that thing? Just having like the AI assistant, right? Hey, like handles calendar rescheduling. Just having, right? Like when travel plans change, right? Like, and like right now I have 3 different flights on my calendar because my travel plans have changed recently. But because it's through another service that I use, like I can't get them off of there. It's like, I just want somebody to go like automated calendar cleanup. That would be super, right? Like maybe I'm not dreaming big enough, but I mean, I just want I want time freed up so that I can spend, thinking about the things I'm supposed to think about.
Yeah, you actually came closer to my next question. You said that don't want to dream about that big, but if let's say you would dream about this big, what do you think about AI and how the AI will shape up the prop tech and the real estate world, let's say in 5 or 10 years? Where are we going to be?
I think that, well, PropTech covers a lot of different flavors, right? I think the easiest place to think about where AI is going to have a really huge impact is on the facilities management piece, right? The monitoring of all of building operations, of that kind of stuff. We're starting to see some of that, but things like automated monitoring and resolution management of leaks in buildings, automated maintenance and preventative maintenance, things like that. Being able to look across, say you have an office building and it has a bunch of different compressors for different air conditioners, and the system knowing where all of this stuff, when it was all bought, how often it's been serviced. If it starts to see issues with one, starting to redo the maintenance schedules and drive that more quickly to make sure that equipment upkeep is where it needs to be, down to the point of actually making the maintenance calls, actually maintaining the maintenance records, right? So instead of just the notification, going all the way through the scheduling process, going all the way through the verification process, running the diagnostics automatically, that kind of stuff, I think is, that's where you're going to see efficiencies. You're going to see tons of savings and tons of efficiency come out of things like that.
Yeah, because actually we had a previous conversation with the guys who provide kind of similar services that you just mentioned, where they're tracking all the point where services need to be done and readjusted. Probably what you just said is going to be the perfect next step for them to implement to make their product even better that they have right now. But their product is really good right now, but there's always something that can be better.
Of course.
So, and talking about the product can be better, I know the Cherre does a great thing, provide a great service. However, do you have some excited plans for the near future? You already said that you're working on AI and implementation, or maybe there's something else or more details that you're willing to share about the near future plans for Cherre.
Mostly my, that's a good question. There's a lot of things I'm excited about. The thing that I'm probably most excited about is our transition as a company from being very much Cherre enabled to becoming partner and client enabled. And what I mean by that is when you're a startup, when you first start developing products, a lot of things happen on the back end, right? And the journey of pushing more and more functionality into the front end, making things more self-service, empowering your clients, empowering your partners more, that is a journey that we've focused on over the past year. And we're starting to get to the point where it's very, very exciting to be able to say, yeah, people can now, build consulting practices around Cherre. Potentially we can have clients that no longer have to rely on us in order to get things done or make changes. We're a startup, right? We're not that big. So when we have really big clients, competing priorities, we don't want to let them down. And one of the best ways to not let them down is to empower them to be able to do things themselves. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Okay, that sounds pretty promising and really, really interesting. So I wish you good luck with that. And it feels like we slowly but surely running out of time. So I have just a couple last questions to you. And one of them is going to be, if our listeners will decide to get in touch with you and learn more about your product and the services that you guys provide, how they can do that? What's the best way to contact you to get a response?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Tyler Christensen. My email as well. Like you can email me directly, tyler.christensen@cherre.com, or you can go to the Cherre website and jump into the funnel there. Regardless of how you do it, somebody will pick that up and would love to have a conversation.
All right. So thank you for sharing your contacts. And the last question, that's kind of already traditional thing in our podcast. This is final statement from our guest. That can be something inspirational or something smart or something funny. That's up to you. What would you say in the end to our listeners?
So don't do data for data's sake. Data must have a purpose. You must know what you want to achieve with that data in order to get value from it.
That sounds very short and very smart. So, Tyler, thank you so much for being our guest today. I really appreciate your time. I'm very happy about having this conversation. I learned much more about Cherre, and that's great because you guys do a great job. And I know that data is a key to any successful business nowadays. So I wish you good luck and all your new beginnings. And what can I say? I hope to see you next time with the next portion of the new implementation for your product that we will be able to discuss something that will make you bigger, smarter, and more useful for the clients even more than right now. So thank you so much. I want to say thanks our listeners, and Tyler, just say goodbye to our listeners.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yurii. I really enjoyed it, and thanks to everyone who's listening.
Yeah. And guys, that was another episode of Innovation Blueprint podcast with our new guest, Tyler Christensen. We're going to launch it very soon, so stay with us. And other week, we're going to have another podcast. So looking forward to it and see you next time. Have a good one. Ciao for now.